Okay, thank you for joining us in our live YouTube broadcast. We have 10th grade Blue Group, and today they're going to tell us or explain to us how to write a rhetorical essay.
Okay. Hello everybody. My name is Rob and it's my colleague Zaina, and today we'll be discussing how to write a rhetorical essay.
Okay, so here's the main points. Mission of the rhetorical essay, the soaps, why use the soaps, the strategies needed, the appeals, examples from all them, from step 1 to 2, more about the styles, which are the tools, from step 3 to 5, and strong verbs and transition words, and step 6, tips, and all that.
Now let's talk about how to analyze. Now when you're reading, there should be two things that you should be looking for. The figurative meaning, which is the indirect meaning, and the alliterative meaning, which is the direct meaning.
Okay, so now we're going to define the rhetorical essay. A rhetorical essay is a group of well-organized, well-structured paragraphs offering an objective critique that analyzes a specific literary or non-literary language for the specific purpose of identifying. And now we're going to analyze rhetorical. The word rhetoric is the art of effective communication. Next.
Okay, now let's talk about the soaps. Soaps basically help you write, makes it easier for you to write an essay, and it's the meaning is like it's a neutral summary of the text, and also
Yes, and there's identifying the speaker, the occasion,
and all the speakers, like who wrote the text, and then there's the occasion, like whether it was an article or
why the author wrote the book.
Yeah, and there's the audience, which like who did the writer write this for?
Yeah, right. Readers.
Yeah, and then there's the purpose, like why would the author write the text? And there's the subject, like what the author is talking about. Now, in our case, if we're talking about Walton, we'll tell you the speaker and the occasion and stuff. Now, for the speaker in our case is Henry David Thoreau, since we're talking about Walton. Now, in occasion, in our occasion, there's the book is called Walden, obviously, and the audience he's talking to materialistic people, since he's talking about how to live simply and such.
And a simple house, make your own house, live a simple life in the woods.
Yeah, purpose is to tell people that living simply isn't hard to achieve, and the subject is materialism, and yeah.
Okay, so now we're gonna move on to why the soap. You know, we usually just use them because they're identifying who wrote the book, the occasion, why did he do it,
Like
the purpose.
questions.
Yeah, it's answering all the main questions, you know.
Now here are basically what we talked about, and
Yeah, we're getting a closer look on the soaps.
yeah, and if you guys are confused, now there's tone and style. That's also, it's not part of these soaps, but it can be part of the soaps. There's tones like why the author's attitude towards the topic, like whether he had a cheerful tone or a sore, gloomy tone. There's the styles and like how the author wrote it. And, yeah.
The speaker, who is the speaker? The speaker is the speaker. Who is narrating is the first or third person that do we know about the speaker's personality, no age, culture, and
okay, let's move on.
yeah, occasion. Let's continue on this. The speaker to
That's basically what we just saw.
the viewers. Yeah.
Now let's talk about the rhetorical style.
Yeah, be more precise. You know, give me details. Let the viewers understand what it's all about.
Now, rhetorical strategies help you write a rhetorical essay. They're like basically a puzzle to, like, they're pieces of puzzles to like complete a whole puzzle, you know. rhetorical strategy is like
Appeals, you know?
yeah, the appeals, like how the author presented the argument and then the style.
Egos, logos,
Yeah, and the style, how did he present the
you know, the tools,
Yeah, the
tools,
tools.
and also
We'll be talking about them more into the
Yeah,
slides
and then
as we go. Yeah. Now, let's move on. Now, here's our examples from Walden. May you read it, Zena?
For sure. Populous house standing on in a golden age of enduring materials and without gingerbread. Work. Diction, you know, the use of diction and tacos. These are emotional.
And there's the potato of boardrooms. A sort of fabulous fruit is also addiction and happens. We gave two examples of each fabulous ethos. Now, next one,
Nature to rear her own children and feed them. Simply here at some future period. Here he uses, you know, figures of speech. He's using nature as a symbol, you know, as a mother, and using eagles.
Now, a house whose inside is open and manifest as a bird's nest is also using
Imaging, you know, he's picturing something that he wants the readers to see.
And it's so much furniture and you want to be warmed by the sun while you can. It's like
He's using, you know, logos. It's
possible that the sun will actually warm you up. Now, our lives pass at such remoteness from symbols and metaphors and proofs are necessary so far. Where he uses dictions.
Yeah, he's using logical tools and diction.
Let's move on. Now let's talk more about the appeals.
Yeah, I think they call the palettes, you know.
Yeah, to make it
Pathos, ethos, logos, inductive, deductive, syllogism. Yeah. Okay, so
pathos means like appealing emotion. He's like expressing his emotion.
yeah, the one we gave examples a few minutes ago.
Yeah, and his use of facts. You know, ethos are like using facts and using examples.
Or you know, or credibility and all that.
And logos uses reasoning, connect claims with evidence.
Logical appeals.
Yeah.
Inductive.
Now, there's a difference between the inductive and deductive, and maybe that like could see that it's the opposite of each other. Like in the inductive, it uses
That's what makes it easy. You know that they're the opposite. So
and there's a deductive that uses general cases.
Yeah.
And syllogism is like a deductive scheme of a formal argument consisting of a major and minor premise and a conclusion.
Yeah.
So these are the points.
You know, let's read this one. Okay. Understanding the question. You know, it's the first step here. You have to have a clear idea of the topic because if you don't understand it, you're not gonna know.
Yeah, if you don't understand the question, basically you won't be able to write
it's gonna be extremely hard. Yeah. Okay, so what we must know. Occasion was this an article written by a speech or given? You know why did he do it? Like audience, who was who was it written for? You know, like the materialistic people in
in our case, we
And purpose, why was this written? Like what was the purpose?
Okay, now let's go to the rhetorical strategies that we mentioned earlier. But now we're going to talk more specifically,
Giving more details.
Yeah. So these are the two elements that the authors use, like usually use in their arguments, which is the appeals that we talked about, which is
Let's read the slide.
And the style, which are like the syntax, diction, imagery, figures of speech.
We're gonna go into more details later.
Yeah.
Okay, should I read?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, the elements of the rhetorical strategies. In an argumentative text, the author uses two main elements to formulate his first strategy. Appeals, how the author presents the argument. You know, we call them the palettes, and those logos. Style tools, how the author presents the information in the argument. You know, syntax, diction, imagery, figures of speech. Now we gave examples a few minutes ago.
Yeah. Now let's move on to step 3, the thesis statement. Can you read it for me, Zane?
Of course, sure. Definition. It's, you know, you're asserting something. It's not just a sentence. You're giving an assertion.
Yeah.
So let's read it. It's an assertion, not a group of organized words. The format. You know, we have a format for each step.
To make it easier for you to write the thesis statement.
the subject plus opinion by using. The rest is in orange. We're using this color code to help identify the subject and all that.
Yeah.
Now, subject plus use of opinion. The rest is in orange, as you know the color code.
Yeah.
And now some 3 reasons to support the opinion. Example 1. Thoreau expresses different types of emotion by using word choice. Diction, which is diction, and tone to create a comprehensible story for his audience.
Now, example 2, your use of emotional, as you guys could actually see that we're using the first format for this one by using, and the second one we're using the second format, which is use of.
Yeah, we're giving examples for everything, almost everything.
Yeah, Thoreau's use of emotional appeals, word choice, and positive attitude to inform his audience the purpose he's trying to achieve. Now, let's move on to step 4, the outline.
An outline is a group of organized sub-ideas, points, examples, and evidence that detail the plan for extended discussion on a specific topic. So for this step, we have do's and don'ts.
Yeah,
like to have it easier for the viewers, to understand how to do it right.
Yeah. So you must discuss the strategies the author uses and will summarize what the author says. So you should identify and discuss what the author is using in his book, and also you should summarize what he's saying. And there's avoid using fancy language. And don't just use clear words so the audience could understand.
Yeah, and it's gonna be more easier, that
For
way
them
when
to
they
understand.
it's like doing it like section 1, then you're giving evidence. Maybe you're talking about tone, so you're giving the evidence to tone. Maybe you're talking about diction, stuff like that.
And don't use the author's first name. Use the full name. You mentioned
More
them.
respectful,
Yeah, they're not your friend. Okay, so be more respectful. Now let's move on to the introduction.
Do you read it, please?
Yeah, sure. The introduction basically introduces what the topic is talking about. And we're gonna use the soaps to help us write an introduction.
Yeah,
So the first sentence tells us about the speaker, occasion, and subject. What does the second sentence tell us about?
the purpose, why did you write the book?
Yeah, and the third sentence we talk about the
goals, the audience. So let's talk about the format for the first sentence. It answers, the soaps, speaker, occasion, and subject.
Now here is the introduction format, so it could be easier for you to write the introduction. There's the writer's
Credentials?
like what is the author, is he
What is he trying to, what is he trying to achieve?
and there's the writer's first and last name. Do not use their first name.
It's not
That's
respectful. Yes, it's not respectful.
And type of text, and title of the text, strong verbs.
So we're gonna go more into it later.
And the writer's subject, what are you talking about? And there's the format of the second sentence. Do you want to do it?
Of course, writer's last name, it's not respectful.
Yeah.
Purpose is to what the writer does with the text. Format of the third sentence. She adopts an adjective describing the attitude, tone, feeling conveyed by the writer, tone in order to verb phrase describing what the writer wants readers to do, think in her intended evidence.
Now, in this sentence, in the second sentence, it answers the purpose, what is the author trying to do with the text, and here sum up everything you've said.
Yeah,
And also, don't forget to use the transitional word that will be also discussed
we're gonna
later.
give more examples later about transitional words.
And now, we're going to use our introduction from our essay that we wrote. Can you say stories?
For sure. Author Thoreau commences his section, Housewarming, by analyzing about nature. Moreover, he begins to appeal to logic of the audience, environmentalists, or materialistic people, by conveying nature and feeling and feeding her children's, especially he uses symbols to represent nature as a mother, feeding his children at some period, which is considered logical, Additionally, here we use a transitional word. Additionally, He uses personification since he claims that nature feeds, but nature is not a human, therefore it can't take an action. Beyond shadows of doubt, Thoreau's use of logic, symbolic and personified words conveys that cause the audience to think outside of the box, no more.
Yeah, and now here are the strong verbs that we promised you. And here are the strong verbs. There's the acknowledge, asks, cautions, discusses, illustrates, notes, relates, says, now says. It's very weak.
Yeah, it's not considered.
Like, we need stronger ones like imply and such.
Suggest,
Yeah, and there's the affirms, asserts, claims, emphasis, implies. Actually, we can cross says out and put implies because says is much weaker and implies is better to use in a rhetorical essay. Now, let's move on.
Remarks, should we read the rest of the words?
Yeah, sure.
Remarks shows things, argues, believes, declares. But I don't think it explains, the strong word. Maybe you can say convey. Yeah, it's not that strong. Maintains, refutes, reveals, states, writes.
Now let's move on. Now here are the transitional words that you should use in a conclusion. And writing a conclusion.
The what made the paragraph more special, especially in a rhetorical essay, you're repeating, you're not repeating, but rhetorical essay, it's as if you're repeating the same thing. You're analyzing. So you need to use these words, to make it more special or unique,
Yeah. Now, we're done with the transitional words for you. Accordingly, as a result, besides, consequently, for example, for instance, furthermore, however, in fact, in other words, indeed, instead, meanwhile, moreover, nevertheless, otherwise, that is, therefore. Now, these are not the only ones that you could, these are not the only ones that you could use when you write an essay. You could actually use different types. There are more than this. And they're like,
there's like categories, the ones you use for an introduction, the ones you use for the body paragraph and conclusion. There are like so many. These are just simple examples.
now let's talk more about the styles.
Which are the tools that the author uses.
Yeah.
So here we use an outside source to bring these examples. Would you please go ahead?
Imagery appealing to senses or something figurative. That's the meaning of imagery. The author is trying to show you a picture apparently with what he's writing. So now here's an example that we used from an outside source, which is
Of course, beside the lake, beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze, continuous as the stars that shine.
Now the details. The use of more and more examples to explain.
It goes on and on and on.
And there's the oxymoron, a figure of speech in which apparently contradictory terms appear in conjunction. So yeah, that's basically it. Now there's more
About the style. Sure. Paradox. Seemingly absurd or contradictory statement or proposition which, when investigated, may prove to be well-founded or true. Figures of speech. We have metaphor, simile, symbol, we give examples of these, paradox, oxymoron, hyperbole.
what's more?
Okay, step 6, rhetorical essay body paragraph. It's a group of organized sentences that analyzes and explains the ways the author uses the text to achieve or accomplish his or her purpose for communicating to a particular audience. Would you please read the slide over?
Sure. Sentence 1, text being discussed. Like in sentence 1, you should write the sentence being discussed, the main idea. And in sentence 2, you should use one example from a rhetorical essay. And in sentence 3, you should explain how the sentence helps for the reader to understand. And in sentence 4, you should basically explain the outcome of the strategy. Now let's move on.
We have the formats. The format of the first sentence. Writer's last name, transition word, is her type of text by using a strong verb, the ones that we gave examples of later. We gave examples of, that short main idea of their section of the text. Would you read the format of the second one?
Yeah, sure. There's a transition word, as you guys should know, that we mentioned earlier, and there's explain what the author does. Like, these are the formats that we use today, but we put them all together, and it will help you basically write.
To sum up everything.
Yeah.
And by verbal, it's the verb that has ing.
Yeah.
That what the author did, verb, includes specific example.
Let's continue.
Let's continue to read the third sentence of the format.
He, like, verb, what the author does, the author's audience, how it connects relates to the given, and the fourth format, description of what the author wrote, adjective, the audience, and what it does to the audience. Now let's move on. Now this is the body paragraph from an essay that we wrote. Now we're going to read it. To extend on Thoreau advances by describing the pond in winter and his reaction towards it. He furthermore continues to appeal to emotions of the audience by implying unspeakable. Now, we used here a strong word and implying instead of says. Unspeakable. Now here we use a direct quotation, like we use the author's last name and like where did the paragraph come from. In other words, he uses adjectives to indicate to the audience his attitude towards the cold, which is unhappy, the tone, and shocked, yes. To add on, he uses hyperbole, which is over-exaggeration. Yeah. In this case, Thoreau is over-exaggerating about the cold weather. We all react the same, but
and the chapter is talking about the winter, how they live in winter.
Finally, Thoreau's smooth use of emotion, descriptive, exaggerated words conveys an intense tone that let the audience
or the materialistic people,
to feel connected with his mood. Now, the conclusion. Finally, will you read it, Dana?
For sure. Step 1: summarize the work you analyzed, persuading the audience to believe a certain idea. We're going to summarize everything.
Yeah.
And then we're summarize who the work you analyzed accomplished its goals. Explain the significance of the work rhetoricals, methods, or purpose. And that's it.
Now let's move on. This is our conclusion. Yes, it will read it very slowly.
Okay. Lastly, here we use the transitional word to start the paragraph with. Thoreau takes an advantage of appealing to ethics, emotions, equals, logos, pathos, and logic. Since he combines each one of the appeal with a certain category of style, for instance, he uses emotion appeals, which is pathos with figures of speech, especially hyperbole to indicate the over-exaggeration of the author's writing and his opinion towards the particular subject. He uses appeal style combination to persuade the readers, which are the environmentalists, materialistic people, and self-reliant. Eventually, here we use another transitional word. Thoreau's use of emotional, logical, and ethical appeals with style tools create a creative and effective chapter, which discusses the idea of the housewarming. Housewarming is basically being in the winter season when the weather got cold, and Thoreau made his own materials to warm in his house. He discusses his everyday experiences and his reactions to the cold weather.
No, we put it all together, just like we did in format for sentence 1, sentence 2, and 4. Now, we're gonna read it slowly. Author Thoreau commences his section, housewarming, by analyzing about nature. Moreover, he begins to appeal to logic of the audience, which are environmentalists, since he's talking about nature here, by conveying nature and feeding her children. He's using nature as a figure of speech, as she's like as if she's a mother. That's why they call her Mother Nature. So specifically, he uses a symbol to represent nature as a mother feeding her children, as I mentioned, at some period which is considered logical. Additionally, another transitional word, he uses personification since he claims that nature feeds, but nature is not a human, therefore it cannot take an action. Beyond shadow of doubt, Thoreau's use of logic, symbolic, and personifying
Personification, yeah.
Words conveys a vigorous tone that causes the audience to think outside of the box. To extend on another end, Thoreau advances by describing the pond in winter and his reaction towards it. He, furthermore, continues to appeal to emotion of the audience by implying unspeakable. Thoreau, too, again, used a direct quotation. In other words, another one. He uses adjectives to indicate to the audience his attitude towards the cold, which is unhappy and shocked. To add on, which is the transitional word, he also uses hyperbole, which is over-exaggeration. In this case, Thoreau is over-exaggerating about the cold. Finally, Thoreau's smooth use of emotion-descriptive, exaggerated words conveys an intense tone that leads the audience to feel connected with his work. Let's move on.
Continuation.
And here's like the conclusion. Or we can continue it more because you read it slowly.
Sure. Lastly, Thoreau takes an advantage of appealing to ethics, emotions, and logic since he combines each one of the appeal with a certain category of style. For instance, he uses emotional appeals, which is pathos with figures of speech, especially hyperbole to indicate the over-exaggeration of the author's writing, and his opinion towards that particular subject. He uses appeal style combination to persuade his readers, which are the environmentalists, the materialistics, and self-reliant. Eventually, Thoreau's use of emotional, logical, and ethical appeal with style tools work together to create a creative and effective chapter which discusses the idea of the housewarming. Housewarming is basically when the weather got cold and Thoreau made his to warm his house. He discusses his everyday experiences and his reactions to the cold weather. Yeah. Analyzing appeals to
How well the author, here it talks about like how well the author used the appeals and tool combination, like how he used it well together, and how he used tone and expressed other different types of style and appeals together and connected them. Now let's move on. And here are a selection of positive, negative, and irony, sarcasm, sorrow, fear, or worry, and general organizational words. Normal, objective, analyzing syntax. Syntax is like long or short sentences. For example, I went to the store. When analyzing syntax, you can't just look at the word or phrase, you have to look at the entire paragraph. And let's look at every single word in the sentence to see how they work together to deliver the author's message. Let's move on.
by analyzing syntax.
Yeah, let's move on.
Yeah, either that's questions. That's now the conclusion.
We already mentioned this.
Yeah, so let's just move on to the tips and the things we reviewed today.
Now the tips.
What we
Move
reviewed.
on.
Yeah, that's it.
have a clear idea of the topic and
Thank you, this was the Blue Group.
Thank you.